Grand Risings, Grand Risings. Today is Wisdom Wednesday, and this is your Shekinah Wisdom podcast. Today, my lovely, is Wisdom Wednesday, where I impart some wisdom on you based on something that I experienced. Sometimes we have to walk away, and we have to know when it's appropriate to walk away. Walking away isn't the first option unless you're going through some type of abuse, whether it's mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically. Abuse comes in different forms. A lot of people think that domestic violence just consists of someone physically hitting another. Well, their domestic violence takes on many forms. In a form of financial abuse, that's when someone is holding money and over your head and using it in a manner to oppress you, right? That's financial abuse. Psychological abuse comes when people gaslight you and tell you something didn't happen when it truly did and things like that. Emotional abuse is when you put somebody down for simply being themselves, and physical abuse, we're all familiar with it. It's when you're actually physically putting hands on people, right? And when you are engaged in these practices, it is not only detrimental to you, but it's also detrimental to the community around you. So in those instances, if you're feeling and going through any of those things, by all means, you should walk away. But there's certain instances that we shouldn't. The one thing that's guaranteed in a relationship is someone is going to disappoint someone at some point in time. It's going to happen. You're both going to disappoint each other at some given time. But how do you handle those disappointments? Well, the first thing is you have to express your disappointment in a respectful way. Why do I say in a respectful way? Because if what you're saying isn't being well received, the person is going to shut down and it's not going to listen. Now, as you move forward, also make sure that you are also listening to what the other party is saying. A lot of times in relationships, we argue back and forth with one another, but no one is truly listening to what the other is saying. A lot of times we have problems that could be easily remedied if we took the time to listen. If you're in a situation and you're not listening to your partner, you can miss a very valuable lesson. A lot of times the problem is easily remedied, right, with listening and realizing that you both have the same issues with one another. And once you acknowledge that you are both wounded, it's easier to come up with a solution. See, when you think that you're the only one with the issues in a relationship, then it's easy for you to place yourself in a victim mode and have that woe is me attitude. But when you can acknowledge that both of you have things that you need to work through and actually work on those things individually and collectively, you get so much farther. Anytime you point a finger, there are three fingers pointing back at you, right? And sometimes a relationship shows us that we should take some time out alone and figure out what's going on with us. If you see that you're repeating toxic cycles in a relationship, that is a big red flag, right? That shows that it's not the individuals that are truly the problem, it's you. We call in relationship partners based on our needs for growth and development. If there's an area that's really detrimental in your life that you really need to focus on and work on, there's a partner that's going to come in and make sure that you have no choice but to work on those things. And if you do not work on it with that partner, guess what? there'll be another one waiting for you to learn that lesson. You'll continue to have the same experience with different faces until that lesson is learned. And when I realized that aspect of things, I realized I needed to work on me. If you do not like what you're attracting into your life, then that means that there's a self-evaluation that needs to be done. And when you evaluate yourself and you figure out what truly is your problem, and you make strides into correcting those issues, you'll be able to move on in a more positive manner. And you won't attract those same type of individuals. Why? Because a lesson was learned, right? A lot of times I say, when we point fingers, it's 3 fingers pointing back at you. Because you are the author of your life. All your experience are a culmination of your choices and decisions, and you willing to heed the lessons that life has been offering you, right? And once I figured that out, I was able to let go of so much pain, so much woe is me mentality, so much things that were not going my way. And when you let go, guess what? Your hands now become open for you to receive what you truly desire. None of that would have transpired had you not realized the true freedom that you actually possess. Today, I want you to get with your objects of enlightenment. Anything that enlightens you, anyone that enlightens you, I want you to interact and engage with that entity. And when you do, I want you to notate how you feel about those experiences, right? We have to start engaging in things that we find helpful and rewarding more than the things that we find distasteful. If you do not like something, you take your attention away from it, because the more that you focus on the things that you do not like, that will multiply the things that you do not like in your life. But when you let me shift my focus on things that I truly desire, it'll bring more of that into your life. Like I said, you are the author of your life. You have to realize that. You are in the driver's seat. So now that you are armed with this information, where are you going? When you know exactly what it is that you want, right? You got to start thinking, and then what happened? Once you achieve that, what's going to be the next step? And start mapping that out. Because if you do not map that out, then what happened is going to occur without your input. We all desire to make our lives more comfortable, more desirable, and the way that we're going about it is really backwards, right? Because even with the technological advances that we are making to make our lives easier, is creating more problems. So we need to sit back and evaluate, what is it that we truly desire? What is it? What is it collectively that we desire? What do we want for each other? Right? When you walk out in the world, what does that world look like? I want you to start focusing on that. Because this world is not just consistent of, not consistent. This world does not just consist of people with your ideologies, right? This world is huge, and not everybody is going to accept your way of living. So if you were armed with that information, what type of policies would you create for everyone? And you know that there are people with differing opinions and ideas about things. Once you start looking at it like that, then you will understand how truly difficult it is to run countries and nations. Because not everybody wants the same thing. There are some people that desire things that you might be repulsed by. How do you handle those situations? Like if you did a paradigm shift and you were that individual, how would you want that situation handled? And these are the type of solutions we need to come up with. Not just selfish solutions that's just here to benefit our personal needs, growth, and development. But what about everybody on this planet? Everybody has a different path. And some of their paths are not going to align up with yours. How do you make plans for those individuals? These are the things that we need to start addressing. And that's what I do on Wisdom Wednesday. I sit and I think about how can I add wisdom to a situation that I've already gone through to improve it? Or what wisdom have I gained on my journey that has improved it? And what is the best way to share that with others? See, these are the things that I sit and think about on Wisdom Wednesday. Now, if you need support on your healing journey, head over to ShekinahWisdom.com where you can book an appointment. If you want art therapy, head over to IAMcollection.com. And if you simply want to support the work we do here, you can cash out Unearthing the Truth. All right, my lovelies, you have a wonderful, happy, wisdom-filled Wednesday.